Remember from fractions or rational numbers that you can't actually divide them. You have to multiply by the reciprocal. So if we had 2/5 divided by 3/10, we keep 2/5, we change division to multiplication, and we flip or take the reciprocal of the divided fraction. And then this just becomes multiplication. So 2 times 10 in the numerator, 5 times 3 in the denominator. 10 is 5 times 2, so we can definitely divide the factor of 5. And then that leaves us a simplified product of 2 times 2 in the numerator and just 3 in the denominator, so 4/3. So we're going to divide rational expressions the same way. Of course, it's a little bit more complex because they're expressions and we're going to have to factor them. So it's done the same way though. So dividing rational expression, for example, in general, P over Q divided by R over S is P over Q times S over R. So multiply the reciprocal and then just multiply across and divide to simplify. So let's divide these rational expressions here. Example A, so 7x squared over 6. We're going to change division to multiplication and then flip or take the reciprocal of the divided rational expression. And that is probably the thing I would be careful for. Do not try to factor yet. First multiply by the reciprocal. So then in the numerator 7x squared times 2y, and in the denominator 6 times x. So 7 times 2 gets us a coefficient of 14x squared y for the numerator and 6x. So then let's see if we can divide any factors here. I'm going to look at these prime factors because I can divide a factor of 2 from the numerator and denominator. And a factor of, if I want to write this as x times x to make that easier to see, I can divide a factor of x as well. So let's see what's left in the numerator. 7 times x times y. And do be careful because sometimes we lose factors here. And in the denominator 3. So that will be the simplified quotient there. In example B, we have division here, so I'm going to keep the first rational expression, change to multiplication, and flip. So denominator comes up, numerator goes down, the divided rational expression. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply straight across. So since there's more than one term, lock up these factors. Be very careful with that. Okay, so 10x plus 4 times x plus 2 in the numerator. X squared minus 4 times 5x cubed plus 2x squared in the denominator. Okay. So then, here comes the factoring part. Let me look at the numerator first. So this first factor, there is a common factor of 2. So let me factor that out. Divide, so 10 divided by 2 is 5x for the first term, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And x plus 2, no common factors. These each have an exponent of 1 on the variable, so I know those are completely factored. So let's go to the denominator now. X squared minus 4 has no common factor, but that is a difference of 2 perfect squares, so we will have sum and difference factor of what's being squared, x and 2. All right. Now, the next factor, is there a common factor for these terms in 5x cubed plus 2x squared? Yes, they have x with the lowest exponent. So I'm going to factor out an x squared. Divide to see what remains. So it's going to subtract 2 from the exponents of the x factors. And that means that second one's going to cancel out completely, leaving just 2. Right. Whew. That looks like that's completely factored because the exponents on the variables are all 1. So let's go ahead and start dividing factors here. 5x plus 2 and x plus 2. And that's it. So let's see what we have left in the numerator. Oh, just 2. And the denominator, we have 2 factors, an x squared factor and an x minus 2 factor. Okay, so in order to be completely simplified, I'm going to have to distribute that x. So that'll be x cubed minus 2x squared. Now, this is perfectly simplified.